Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me here. As Jake says, my name is Emily. I work for a company called Wagestream. So Wagestream is the financial well-being app designed for frontline workers. It's built around pay, but we do so much more than that. I'm not really here to talk to you about Wagestream. I'll mention a few bits in. My marketing team are at the back, and they're keeping an eye on me. I'm really here to talk to you about social impact and financial well-being. And my job at Wagestream, my job is I'm the head of impact and inclusion. And that's a fancy sounding title, and it sounds like a people team role, but in fact, it's a policy role. So my job is to look after the social impact our products and services create and how they flow through to society as a whole. And I spend my time talking to people. I get to spend my time talking to experts by experience. So frontline workers who are hourly paid, who are kind of living through the cost of living squeeze right now, and they co-create with us. They help us design the products that meet their needs. Kind of at the other end of the spectrum, I spend my time talking to people like Jake, to our social impact investors, to our impact advisory board members, to academics, to charities, to people who do deep work around financial inclusion and in-work poverty. And so that's much more of a theoretical conversation about what's happening in the world right now and how do we tackle it. And in the middle, the glue that joins it all together are the people in this room, the employers, the heads of people, the heads of well-being. And if I'm lucky, I get to speak to people who are heads of financial well-being even. So the individuals who are making decisions about benefits and policies that affect the lives of their employees. And you people are so much more powerful than you think you are. You have almost a magical amount of power in terms of the influence you have over people's individual well-being, their mental well-being, their physical well-being. But not just that, there are some big, sticky, thorny social problems that need solving. And employers, through your policies and benefits, you can actually shift the needle on this. I was reading recently the Money and Pension Service 10-year strategy for financial well-being in the UK. And I'm pretty confident there's a couple of things from that strategy. It's a 5-point strategy that the people in this room can actually knock off in the next 10 years. I'm really confident you can do it. You just need to know how to harness that power. And I'm super excited to have some familiar faces in the audience who are working on that right now. But I want to talk to you today about exactly what you can do, how you can create an incredible financial well-being strategy, and the impact you can drive, not just in your organization, but kind of through society as a whole. It would be remiss of me, not to talk about the cost of living crisis. Just to frame things, the cost of living crisis, or if you speak to someone in government, they'll call it the so-called cost of living crisis. They're not willing to name it yet, but I'm calling it a crisis. It's really hitting people hard right now, and it's particularly hitting people who are in insecure work. So if they're on an hourly wage or a 0 hours contract, or they're not getting the same paycheck month to month. It's hard for people right now. And so I'm not going to go on and on about this, but I just want this to sort of frame your thinking about what I'm going to speak to next, and so in terms of how you think about financial well-being and how you manage your policies and benefits to kind of support people who are really feeling the squeeze right now. They're horrifying stats, actually. We've almost become numb to them in terms of how horrifying they are and what's coming. And so this is about the quality of my slides that you'll get. So enjoy my slide work and my excessive use of exclamation marks. There we go. In order to talk about financial well-being, in order to talk about the cost of living, we need to talk about money. And I'm cool with that because I'm Canadian and I grew up talking about money. So that's no big deal for me. I can have conversations about money any day of the week. It's a really un-British thing and a really uncomfortable thing to talk about money. And here's the really weird thing. So as employers, the number one benefit you provide to your employees is pay. You pay them. I have a great job. I love my job. It's interesting. It's intellectually fulfilling. It's emotionally fulfilling. I love coming to work. I love speaking to the people I speak to. I love tackling big problems and seeing how we can solve them. but I'm in it for the money. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm here because I'm being paid to be here. If I weren't being paid, I'd be off riding my bike somewhere or spending time with my kids or walking up a mountain. So we are already in our employees' financial lives. We pay them. We are in their pockets. That is the #1 benefit you're delivering to them. So let's not be weird about talking about other things to do with their money. Let's get comfortable. Okay, that train is gone. Hop on board and like join us for the ride, because we are here to talk about money. Let's be un-British about it and own the fact that financial well-being is already our #1 benefit as organizations, and think about what else we can bundle into that to make people's money work harder for them. And I'm gonna show you some numbers next, and I'm gonna talk to some of the problems I think you can solve. And I genuinely believe in this room, I honestly, truly believe in this room that if you put your minds to it, it's actually not very hard for you to make a big impact on people's well-being and for you to solve things like the gender wealth gap, right? The gender wealth gap, that's a big statement to make, but it's within your power as employers to deliver a service and to deliver a benefit that actually really changes things for people in society. I thought I was being really clever when I put this slide together. I was like, I'm just going to put some numbers on the screen, and I'm not going to say what they are, and I'm so confident I'm going to remember them that I won't even take any notes with me. And like, I back myself here. I think I can do this. So we're going to go through these. Feel free to shout out a guess if you want to shout out a guess, but I do know what these numbers are. And if I don't, I can say them with confidence, and you will believe me. But the first one, 11.5 million. That is the number of people in the UK who have virtually no financial resilience. They have £100 or less in savings. Imagine what it feels like to have £100 or less in your bank account. Nothing else you can fall back on. There's no money there between paychecks. You've got virtually nothing, and some people that is nothing. 11.5 million. That's a really big number of people, and that's £100 or less. And right now, the cost of feeding your prepayment meter is going up by more than that in a month by the time we hit the October price rises. People have no resilience to cope with that change that's coming. Okay, we'll do the next one. 1 in 7. That is the number of people in the UK who are financially excluded. Okay, that means they do not have access to products that are fairly priced or useful to them. And at Wagestream, one of the things we offer is access to your pay, so earned wage access, pay on demand. And there's a really high correlation between the people who take that part of the product up and those who report they do not have a credit card and they do not have an overdraft. They are financially excluded. And when you think about who is financially excluded, you think about people with thin credit file or no credit file. You think about people who are new to the UK, for example, or who are new to the workforce. Maybe they've left the foster care system and they don't have a credit footprint to help them out. Or maybe they're recently separated from a partner and their partner always looked after their finances. And again, they're new in the world of looking after their money, and they cannot get access to everyday banking products. They are financially excluded. That is a big social problem. At the top, 15 billion and 56%. So 15 billion pounds, that is the gender wealth gap. Men have 15 billion pounds more than I do, and I'm not okay with that. That's a lot of billions, right? Even 1 billion would be too much, but 15 billion, they have more money than I do, and more money than you do, Lizzie, and more money than you do, Sarah. That's not okay. I'm not down with that. Phil, I'm looking at you. You've got my money. But there's hope, because 56%, you are 56% more likely to start saving and to develop a savings habit if it's offered through payroll. Payroll savings programs are so much more effective than a normal savings plan, and that's even for very low-income workers. 56% more likely. That's magical. That is huge power just by delivering this through your workplace to really make a difference to people's lives. There's another 15 billion up there. That is not a mistake. That is an intentional extra 15 billion. That is the amount of state benefits that go unclaimed every year. 15 billion pounds sitting there, waiting for people who are entitled to benefits, and they do not get access to them. And in more than 80% of cases, it's because they don't know they're entitled or didn't think they were entitled, right? And so these are going to be people who are in work, who haven't thought they actually are due some help, they could get access to some state benefits. And if anybody has ever tried to access any state benefits, I get tax-free childcare. It is a pain in the butt to go through that form and fill it out. It is so much work to try and get access to that benefit. It's really easy to get it wrong. But by delivering something through a workplace program, you can signpost and you can help people effectively understand exactly what they're entitled to. And finally, 50%. This is the one I couldn't remember this morning, so I had to look it back up again. 50% more people worry about money every single day compared to last year. That's from a piece of research we did at Wagestream on the state of financial well-being. And last year, you know, two-thirds of people worried about money every single day. And so this data was taken at the start of the year before the cost of living crisis began to bite. Just think about how many people are worrying about money every single day now in your workplace. This is scary stuff. These are big scary numbers. There's a bit of hope in there too. But I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to show off and just put some numbers and show that I could remember and that I actually know what I'm talking about. I hope that was successful. And what I want to do next is talk to you about social ripple effects. But I'm actually just going to go back and look at these numbers a bit more. So what I mean by social ripple effects is how you, through a financial well-being strategy, through your benefits and policies, can actually change some of these things. So 11.5 million people have £100 or less in savings. Imagine if you offered a payroll savings program and 56% of your employees, 56% more people took that up because it was offered through work and it was easy and they trusted the partner that you worked with and you made it simple for them to save directly from their pay without having to do anything. Imagine the impact you could have on that £11.5 million. And then think about that £15 billion gender wealth gap. And particularly if you have a large workforce, how you could begin to move the needle on that by launching a workplace savings program, by getting people equal access to savings opportunities, by giving them equal access to information, and helping them think about what they could then do with that money that they've managed to save. So think about how these things sort of intersect with each other, and the fact that you could actually give people financial resilience to cope with the cost of living. You could change a really gross data point on the gender wealth gap. You could make people more able to save and be resilient and kind of plan ahead for their future. And same when we talk about financial inclusion or financial exclusion, by sort of offering a product through payroll or through your benefit suite, you can actually take people who are excluded from mainstream financial services. You can take people who are reliant on high-cost credit, which, by the way, is affecting their ability to save, right? It's affecting their ability to actually gain any wealth. And you can give them access to really fair products that move them out of that excluded space into an included space. And this is really important from a D&I lens as well, in terms of thinking about who in your workforce is going to be impacted by these things, how they're already facing discrimination in other parts of their life, and what you can actually do to actually level up in one small part of their world, of their working world. Ooh, the clock is flashing at me and telling me I should stop speaking soon. And so, there's so much power you have in terms of thinking about your policies and your benefits and how you can deliver financial well-being through work. It's not just about people's right now and making those pounds stretch further, which is really, really important to do as well. But it's also about thinking, what are the big social problems you can actually tackle through a financial well-being program that goes beyond pay? And my last very important slide is to say to you, get creative, right? Get creative in your solutions. You probably already do so much for your employees, and you don't even realize how powerful those tools are. If you're offering any kind of workplace insurance benefit, you are including people who are financially excluded. You're making pricing more fair for them. Think about how your policies intersect with your benefits. So when you're thinking about crafting a well-being strategy, think about your sickness policy and your absence policy. Think about how quickly you pay expenses when expenses are due to people. Think about the timings of other things that happen. Think about the group coverage, for example, for insurance that you could offer. Think about, do you offer a payroll savings product? So how do these things intersect with each other? And how can you use them to drive financial well-being in your workplace, improve people's peace of mind, reduce their stress, but also pick off some of the things that are affecting people in their lives as well, beyond just worrying about money till the end of the month. So picking off some of those bigger social things. I'm going to pause because she's flashed me the sign at the back saying I should stop talking. That's what I wanted to say today. I wanted to say to you, you can do more. You can be creative. You can actually make a difference. And I genuinely believe some of the targets that Money and Pension Service have set around financial well-being for the UK, as employers, you can do that. I actually think as Wagestream, we can do that. I back us to get that target done all on our own, but it'd be a lot easier if you would come with me and kind of help make that happen.